This is Daniel in so many words.
Hey there, fellow Pokemon trainers. My name is Daniel, and in so many words, shiny Pokemon are highly sought after by many people who play the Pokemon games. No, shiny Pokemon don't provide any sort of hidden abilities or stat boosts, and they're really just a glorified palette swap at the end of the day, but even so, a lot of people will spend hundreds of hours trying to get a shiny version of their favorite Pokemon just for the sake of having it. Sadly though, not every shiny Pokemon is really worth the effort, so today, I thought I'd do something a bit different since I had shiny Pokemon on the brain. And also because this cold I think I'm getting has really stifled my creativity. Anyways, today, I'm gonna tell you my top 5 least favorite shiny Pokemon ever.
Number 5, Magcargo.
Slugma has a cool shiny sprite. It goes from its regular red to an ash gray, which actually goes along with its Pokedex entry, which says that if it stops moving, its magma body will harden and cool. Shiny Magcargo, however, doesn't really stick with that aesthetic, and instead turns into this really odd pink. It doesn't work for the design, and again, given what shiny Slugma looks like, having it go from ash gray to bubblegum pink between evolutions, it just doesn't work.
Number 4, Espeon.
Espeon is legitimately one of my favorite Pokemon, and it's tied with Jolteon and Umbreon for the spot of my favorite evolution. Espeon's design just screams Psychic type to me. It's very well done. However, get your hands on a shiny one and it turns into what I can only describe as vomit green. Espeon isn't the only one who suffers from an ugly green sprite. In fact, the only reason that Espeon is on this list and not the litany of other Pokemon from Gen 2 alone who have this ugly green sprite is because I like Espeon so much better than, say, Ursaring or Stantler, so I think it just hurts that much more in that regard. Honestly, I don't think there are a lot of Pokemon that look good with a green shiny sprite. Notable exceptions for me are Dragonite, who still at least looks like a dragon, and Muck, whose design is based on toxic sludge to begin with, so having it look like green radioactive slime actually works. For Espeon though, honestly it would have been far better served if its shiny sprite were, say, yellow or red, something that would have fit better with its description as the sun Pokemon, rather than this awful bright green.
Number 3, Groudon and Kyogre.
When you think of legendary Pokemon, you think one-of-a-kind, all-powerful, awesome juggernauts. So you think that their shiny sprites will make them look even cooler than they already do. Look at shiny Rayquaza, shiny Jirachi, the shiny legendary beast, even shiny Giratina. Honestly, a lot of legendary shinies do look pretty cool. And then there's shiny Groudon and shiny Kyogre. Shiny Groudon goes from this awesome, powerful lava red to this garish sort of greenish yellow, like somebody thought you looked super good covered in brown mustard. And shiny Kyogre honestly isn't that much better. Much like Magcargo from earlier in this list, it turns this awful pinkish purple color that makes it look like it's made out of Laffy Taffy. Both of them were kind of redeemed in Gen 6 when they were given primal reversions, and their shiny primal reversion forms do look awesome, with both of them turning jet black. However, we had to go through 3 whole generations of brown mustard Groudon and Laffy Taffy Kyogre before Hoenn was confirmed and Game Freak even considered reworking their shiny forms in some way. Rayquaza's in the Weather Trio too, and it's always had a jet black shiny. Why not Kyogre and Groudon? Seriously, why the fuck not?
Number 2, Gyarados.
I'm sure most of us remember the red Gyarados from the Lake of Rage. It was a shiny Pokemon created as a byproduct of Team Rocket forcing Magikarp to evolve with radio waves, and it was likely the first shiny Pokemon that many of us, including myself, ever ran into. Now in all fairness, shiny Gyarados in and of itself isn't a bad shiny, as I honestly like how red Gyarados looks, but shiny Gyarados is on the list purely for the fact that its existence in literally every copy of the Gen 2 games and their Gen 4 remakes simply devalues it. Shinies prior to Gen 6 only appeared once out of every 8,192 times, making them incredibly rare. In Gen 6, the rate was doubled, meaning the shiny rate is now 1 out of 4,096. Better odds, yeah, but still pretty rare. Again, shiny Pokemon provide no stat boosts or special abilities, so their entire value, what makes them special, is simply how rare they are, and the fact that anyone with a Johto game is required to at least battle the red Gyarados as part of the storyline renders its rarity null and void. It's sad because, again, I like red Gyarados, but the fact that it's so easily accessible as opposed to literally every other shiny makes it virtually worthless. Honorable mentions. Weavile for taking a cool, badass looking dark type and turning it bright pink, the exact opposite of what a dark type should look like. Leafeon, Glaceon, Dugong, Persian, and every other Pokemon whose shiny sprite could be confused with its regular one because there's virtually no difference between them. And Lucario, because no Pokemon as well designed and badass looking as Lucario, no Pokemon being voiced by the guy who voices Goku from Dragon Ball Z, should have a shiny sprite so yellow it makes me think of a banana. Number 1. Absol. You had to know this was coming. Those of you who have been following me for a while now know that Absol is my all-time favorite Pokemon. Yes, its defenses aren't that great, and yes, it's basically a glass cannon, and yes, there are better options in the metagame for a physical sweeper, but I don't care. I love Absol's design, its backstory, its color scheme, even its Pokédex entry. It's honestly so cool and dark and awesome, and then we get shiny Absol, and it's this piece of crap. Now, aesthetically speaking, Absol probably isn't as bad as some of the others on this list, but shiny Absol ranks number 1 for me simply because of my fanboy love for Absol. I think that's why it hurts so much that this shiny is so lame. It's my all-time favorite Pokemon. I would hope that its shiny looked just as good, but no. Instead, someone just took Absol, put it in Photoshop, and slightly shifted the hue to the right until it looked red instead of blue. Why couldn't we have done what we did with Giratina and essentially did a color invert? You can't tell me a white-skinned, white-horned, blue-furred Absol wouldn't look cool or at least better than the red-tinted shiny sprite that we actually got. I feel like the designers didn't even try when coming up with Absol's shiny sprites, and that, along with the hurt fanboy feels that I brought up earlier, makes shiny Absol my number 1 least favorite shiny Pokemon of all time. So, is there a shiny Pokemon sprite that you don't like? Let me know in the comments below. But until we meet again, insert catchphrase here. Da 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 da